Tonight, we are going to travel to a place of perfect discipline and perfect peace. The rain is falling outside your window. It is a modern rain, falling on concrete and asphalt. But if you listen closely, the sound is changing. The hard patter on the pavement is softening. It is becoming the sound of water hitting ancient tiles. It is becoming the sound of droplets sliding off pine needles. We are traveling back in time. We are crossing the ocean to the island nation of Japan. We are entering the Edo period. Chapter 1. The Castle in the Mist. It is the early 17th century. It is a time of peace. The great wars of the samurai are over. The clans have been united. The swords are still sharp, but they stay in their scabbards. The warrior has become the administrator. The fighter has become the poet. We are going to spend a day in the life of this peaceful warrior. We will watch him wake. We will watch him dress. We will watch him polish his soul like a mirror. But first, we must set the scene. We must build the world around you so that you feel safe enough to close your eyes. We are standing at the base of a hill. It is the hour of the tiger, just before dawn. The sky is a deep, bruised indigo, transitioning into a pale gray. Rising out of the mist above us is a structure of immense beauty and immense strength. Himeji Castle. They call it Shirasagi-jo, the White Heron Castle. Look up at it through the mist. It does not look like the heavy stone castles of Europe. It does not look like a block. It looks like a bird about to take flight. Its walls are brilliant white, plastered with lime and seashell dust. They glow in the twilight. The roofs are tiled in gray, curving upward at the corners like the wings of a heron. It sits on the hill, floating above the fog. It is silent. It is motionless. Let us walk toward it. The air is cool and damp. It smells of wet earth, cedar wood, and the faint, salty tang of the inland sea miles away. We approach the moat. The water in the moat is still. It is a dark mirror, reflecting the white walls above. The rain creates expanding rings on the surface. Plip, plip, plip. Deep beneath the surface, huge koi fish are sleeping, orange and gold and white. They hover in the darkness, suspended in the water, waiting for the sun. We cross the bridge. It is made of wood, darkened by age and weather. It creates a hollow sound under our feet. Thud, thud, thud. We are entering the defenses. The walls of a Japanese castle are unique. They are not straight. They curve. Look at the stone wall rising out of the water. It begins with a gentle slope at the base and curves sharply upward near the top. This shape is called Ogi-no slope, the fan slope. It mimics the curve of a folding fan. It mimics the curve of a katana blade. It is beautiful, but it is impossible to climb. The stones are not held together by mortar. There is no cement here. They are fitted together dry. Look at the puzzle of the stones. Massive granite, boulders, some as big as a carriage, locked together with smaller stones wedged in the gaps. They have sat this way for 400 years. Through earthquakes, through typhoons, through wars, they have not moved. There is a profound comfort in looking at something so solid. It tells your mind that you are protected. The walls are high. The walls are thick. Nothing can get in. You are safe inside the perimeter. We walk through the first gate, the Diamond Gate. The doors are massive slabs of keyaki wood, Japanese elm. They are reinforced with strips of black iron and studded with heavy rivets. The gate is open just a crack, enough for the mist to drift through. We pass through. We are in the labyrinth. The path winds up the hill. It turns left, then right, then back on itself. It is designed to confuse the enemy, but for us, it is a walking meditation. We pass through the eye gate, the row gate, the ha gate. Each gate gets smaller. Each gate brings us higher up the hill, closer to the sky. The rain softens. The mist begins to thin. We can see the trees now, ancient pine trees, matsu. Their bark is rough and scaly, like a dragon's skin. Their needles are dark green tufts. Their branches are twisted and gnarled, shaped by the wind over centuries. They stand like guardians along the path. They do not move. They simply witness. Finally, we reach the inner sanctuary, the Honmaru, the main courtyard, and rising before us is the Tenshu, the main keep. It is 6 stories tall, a tower of wood and plaster reaching for the heavens. It is the masterpiece of carpentry. Inside this tower, there are 2 great pillars, 2 single trees that run from the basement all the way to the roof. The west pillar is made of hemlock. The east pillar is made of fir. Imagine the effort to find 2 trees that tall, that straight. Imagine the effort to bring them here and stand them up. They are the spine of the castle. They hold everything together. Let us enter the keep. We must leave our shoes at the door. We step up onto the wooden floor. The wood is hinoki, Japanese cypress. It is smooth as silk underfoot. It has been polished by the socks of 10,000 samurai over the centuries. It glows with a warm, honey-colored light. The smell is intoxicating. Hinoki wood has a scent that is spicy, lemony, and clean. It clears the lungs. It calms the mind. We walk down the corridor, listen to the floor. Chirp. Squeak. Chirp. Squeak. This is not a mistake. This is not old wood creaking. This is technology. These are the nightingale floors. Uguisubari. The carpenters installed special metal clamps beneath the floorboards. When someone walks on them, the clamps rub against the nails. They create a sound that mimics the chirping of the Japanese bush warbler, the nightingale. It was a security system. In the silence of the night, no one could sneak through the corridor without the floor singing. But to the lord of the castle, lying in his bed, it was a lullaby. It was the sound of safety. As long as the floor was chirping, he knew his guards were walking the rounds. He knew the castle was awake. Chirp. Chirp. We climbed the steep wooden stairs, up to the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor, the 4th floor. The rooms here are empty. There is no furniture, no chairs, no tables. In the Japanese aesthetic, an empty room is a full room. If a room is filled with furniture, your mind is distracted. You look at the chair. You look at the table. Your mind is cluttered. But if the room is empty, your mind has nowhere to land. It reflects back on itself. It becomes calm. The floors are covered in tatami mats, thick, woven straw mats. The edges are bound in black cloth. They smell of dry grass, a smell of summer fields harvested long ago. The light in these rooms is dim. It filters through the shoji screens. These are sliding doors made of a lattice of thin wood and covered in white paper. Washi paper. The paper is opaque. You cannot see through it, but it lets the light in. It diffuses the light. It turns the harsh morning sun into a soft, glowing haze. There are no shadows in a room lit by shoji, just a uniform, gentle brightness. We reach the top floor, the 6th story. Here, the windows are open. We look out. The view is breathtaking. The world is laid out below us like a map. We can see the tile roofs of the castle complex, glistening wet in the rain. They look like the scales of a gray fish. We can see the cherry trees in the garden, bare branches waiting for spring. We can see the town below, the Jukamachi, the castle town. Small wooden houses huddled together. Thin trails of smoke rising from the chimneys as the townspeople start their fires for breakfast. And beyond the town, the rice paddies. a patchwork quilt of water and green mirrors. And beyond that, the mountains. Layers of mountains, fading from dark green to blue to grey, disappearing into the white mist. It is a painting in ink and wash, sumi-e. It is silent up here. The wind blows softly through the open window. It ruffles the sleeves of your robe. You feel a sense of detachment. This is the view from above. Down there in the town, people are rushing. They are worrying about money. They are worrying about the rain. They are hurrying to open their shops. But up here, in the White Heron Castle, there is no hurry. The castle has stood here for generations. It will stand for generations more. The individual lives below are like the mist. They appear in the morning and vanish in the sun. But the stone remains. The wood remains. This is the philosophy of the samurai. Permanence and impermanence. To build something that lasts forever, while knowing that you yourself are fragile. The sun is beginning to break through the clouds now. A shaft of pale yellow light hits the white plaster of the wall. The castle is waking up. Somewhere below us, in the complex, a drum beats. Doom, doom, doom. It is the drum of the waking hour. The night watch is ending. The day watch is beginning. We turn away from the window. We walk back down the stairs. The nightingale floors sing their song. Chirp, chirp. We are heading to the private quarters of the samurai. He is awake. He has been awake for some time. He does not sleep late. He is lying in the center of the tatami room. He is under a heavy quilt, the futon. The room is cold. The Japanese house is not sealed like a Western house. It breathes. The air of the garden flows through the room. He can feel the chill of the morning on his face. He can smell the rain. He lies there for a moment, perfectly still. He does not reach for a phone. He does not check the time. He does not plan his day. He simply breathes. He listens to the world. He hears the drip of the rain. He hears the caw of a crow in the pine tree. He hears the footsteps of the servant in the hallway. He is connecting his internal rhythm to the external rhythm. This is zanshin. Awareness. To be fully present in the moment before you move. He throws back the quilt. He sits up. The movement is fluid. There is no groaning, no hesitation. He is ready to begin the ritual of the day. But before we watch him dress, let us linger in the atmosphere of the room. In the corner, there is an alcove, the tokonoma. It is a sacred space for art. Hanging on the wall is a scroll, a single vertical line of calligraphy. It says, mu, nothingness, or emptiness. On the floor of the alcove stands a vase, a simple, rough piece of pottery, and in the vase a single branch of a plum tree. One branch, not a bouquet. The samurai aesthetic is about reduction. If you have 100 flowers, you look at none of them. If you have one flower, you see the universe. You see the curve of the stem. You see the swelling of the bud. You see the struggle of the plant to grow. The room is sparse. It is clean. It is quiet. It is a container for the mind. If your mind is racing tonight, if your thoughts are cluttered like a messy room, imagine this space. Imagine sweeping everything out. Take the furniture out of your mind. Take the pictures off the walls of your mind. Take the rugs off the floor. Leave only the tatami mats, clean, pale, smelling of grass. Leave only the paper screen, filtering the light. Leave only the single flower in the vase. There is nothing else to worry about. The castle walls are 50 feet thick. The moat is deep. The guards are at the gate. You are in the safest place in the world. The mist is wrapping around the tower like a blanket. The world outside has disappeared. There is only the white fog. You are floating in the whiteness. The castle is a ship sailing through the sea of clouds, drifting, drifting, drifting. The drum beats again, softer this time. Doom. It is the heartbeat of the stone. We have arrived. We are inside. The day has begun, but it is a slow day, a quiet day, a day of silk and steel. But for now, just breathe the incense, just feel the wood. Rest in the shadow of the White Heron. Sleep. Chapter 2. The Silk and the Lacquer. The sun has fully risen above the mountains now. The mist that shrouded the White Heron Castle has begun to lift, dissolving into the pale blue air of the morning. The light enters the room. It does not rush in. It filters through the paper screens of the shoji doors, turning the room into a box of soft, diffused luminescence. The samurai stands in the center of the room. He has risen from the futon. The day has begun, but the work of the day has not. Before he can face the world, before he can pick up a brush or a blade, he must construct himself. He must build the outer shell that protects the inner spirit. This is the ritual of the dressing. In the modern world, we dress in haste. We pull on clothes to cover our bodies, to keep out the cold, to conform to the fashion of the street. It is a functional act, done while looking at a clock, done while thinking of the train or the office. But for the samurai of the Edo period, dressing is not a chore. It is a meditation. It is a ceremony of transformation. He stands naked for a moment in the cool air. The Japanese house is airy and drafty by design, to prevent mold in the humid summer. In the winter or early spring, the air bites. It wakes the skin. It tightens the pores. It reminds the body that it is alive. He walks to the wash basin in the corner. It is a simple copper bowl, sitting on a low wooden stand. The water inside was brought by a servant from the well in the courtyard. It is cold, pure, still. He cups his hands. He dips them into the water. He splashes his face. The shock of the cold is sharp, but brief. It washes away the dreams of the night. It washes away the softness of the pillow. He takes a rough cotton cloth and dries his face. The friction warms his skin. Now, the layers begin. The clothing of the samurai is not just fabric, it is architecture. It is built layer by layer, structure upon structure, to create a shape that is both fluid and solid. First, the undergarments, strips of bleached white cotton, simple, clean. They bind the body. They provide the foundation. Then the jubain, the underrobe. It is made of light silk or fine cotton, depending on the season. It is white, the color of purity, the color of the blank page. He slips his arms into the sleeves. The fabric is cool against his skin, smooth as water. He pulls the collar tight. He crosses the left side over the right. This is the rule. This is the law of the living. Only the dead are dressed right over left. Every morning, with this simple motion, he affirms his life. He affirms his place in the world of the living. He ties a thin cord around his waist to hold the juban in place. He smooths the fabric down his chest. There must be no wrinkles, no disorder. The foundation must be perfect, or the house will not stand. Next comes the kosode, the kimono. This is the main robe. For a samurai of his rank, in the privacy of his castle, it is made of silk. But it is not the garish, bright silk of the merchant class or the kabuki actor. It is somber. It is dignified. The colors of the samurai are the colors of nature. Indigo blue, like the deep ocean. Brown, like the tea leaf. Gray, like the storm cloud. Or black, like the lacquer of his armor. He chooses a robe of dark indigo. The silk is heavy. It has a texture to it, a subtle weave that catches the light only when he moves. It smells of the Paulonia wood chest where it was stored. It smells of camphor and dried herbs, placed there to keep the moths away. He slides his arms into the wide sleeves. The weight of the robe settles onto his shoulders. It feels grounding. It feels like a hug from history. He adjusts the collar again. It must align perfectly with the white collar of the underrobe. A thin line of white showing against the dark blue. A contrast, a boundary. Now, the lower body, the hakama. These are the wide, pleated trousers that define the silhouette of the warrior. They are vast. They contain yards and yards of fabric. He steps into them. The fabric is stiff. It rustles as he moves. It is a heavy silk, striped in faint lines of gray and black. He pulls them up to his waist. He ties the long straps around his back, then around his front, creating a complex, secure knot. The hakama is not just clothing. It is philosophy woven into cloth. Look at the pleats. There are 5 pleats in the front and 2 in the back. 7 pleats in total. They are not random. Each pleat represents a virtue of Bushido, the way of the warrior. Gi, rectitude, doing the right thing. Yu, courage. Jin, benevolence. Rei, respect. Makoto, honesty. Meiyo, honor. Chugi, loyalty. Every day, as he smooths these pleats down his legs, he is reminding himself of who he is. He is straightening his moral code. He is ironing out his character. The hakama changes the way he stands. It forces him to plant his feet wide. It lowers his center of gravity. He feels rooted to the floor, like a pine tree rooted to the mountain. Now, the obi, the sash. It is a long, stiff belt of silk. He winds it around his waist, once, twice, 3 times. He pulls it tight. Not so tight that he cannot breathe, but tight enough to support his lower back. Tight enough to create a sensation of pressure in his hara, the center of his belly. In Japanese thought, the hara is the seat of the soul. It is where the energy lives. By wrapping the obi tight, he is focusing his energy. He is gathering his strength. He ties the knot. It is a complex, flat knot that will not come undone. It sits at the small of his back, a hard cushion of silk. He is dressed, but he is not yet finished. He sits down on a cushion in front of a mirror stand. The mirror is made of polished bronze. It gives a soft, golden reflection. He looks at his face. It is calm, impassive. He picks up a wooden comb, tsuge, boxwood. He combs his hair. It is oiled with camellia oil. It shines in the diffuse light. He pulls it back, smoothing every stray strand. He gathers it into a queue at the back of his head. He folds the hair forward, over the top of his head, the chonmage, the top knot. He ties it with a waxed paper cord. He trims the end with small scissors. It is a style of severe control. There is nothing wild about it. Every hair is accounted for. Every hair is in its place. He puts down the comb. He stands up. Now comes the final step. The step that separates the samurai from the farmer, the merchant and the priest. The soul. He walks to a wooden rack standing in the alcove. On the rack rest 2 objects. They are long, curved and encased in black lacquer. The daisho, the big and the small, the katana, the long sword, and the wakizashi, the short sword. He bows slightly to the rack. This is not worship of a god. It is respect for the object, respect for the craftsman who made it, respect for the ancestors who carried it. He picks up the katana. Feel the weight of it in your mind. It is heavier than you expect. It is a bar of steel, wrapped in wood, wrapped in ray skin, wrapped in silk. The scabbard, the saya, is made of magnolia wood. It is coated in 30 layers of black lacquer. It is deep, glossy, and smooth as glass. It feels cool and sleek in the hand. He does not draw the blade. There is no need. He knows what is inside. He knows the steel is there, sleeping in the dark, bathed in clove oil to keep away the rust. He takes the sword and slides it into his obi on the left side. It slides in with a soft, friction-filled whisper of silk against lacquer. He adjusts the angle. It must sit diagonally, the hilt rising toward his heart, the scabbard pointing down and back. Then the wakizashi, the shorter sword, the companion. He slides it in front of the long sword. Now he feels the true weight of his station. The two swords act as a counterweight. They change his balance. They pull on the sash. To stand straight, he must engage his core. He must lift his chest. The swords dictate his posture. You cannot slouch when you are wearing the soul of the samurai. You cannot be lazy. He places his left hand on the hilts. His thumb rests gently on the guard of the katana. This is his resting pose. It is a pose of readiness, but also of restraint. He looks in the mirror one last time. He does not see a man in pajamas. He does not see a sleepy person stumbling toward breakfast. He sees a fortress, the white silk next to the skin, the dark indigo robe, the striped trousers of virtue, the stiff sash of focus, the black lacquer of the swords. He has built a container for himself. Whatever chaos happens today, whatever arguments, whatever weather, whatever sorrow, it will have to get through these layers. He is insulated. He is prepared. He turns from the mirror. The silk hakama rustles, a sound like dry leaves blowing across stone. Swish, swish. He walks toward the door of the room. He moves differently now. He glides. This is the walk of the samurai. Suri-ashi, sliding feet. He does not lift his feet high off the floor. He slides them along the tatami mats. This keeps his center of gravity low. It keeps him stable. If he were to trip, he would catch himself instantly. He reaches the shoji screen. He kneels to open it. He does not bend over at the waist. He sinks straight down, keeping his spine vertical. He places his hand on the wooden frame of the door. He slides it open. The cool air of the corridor rushes in to meet him. The transformation is complete. The sleeper is gone. The warrior has arrived. But this warrior is not going to war. He is not going to a battlefield to shout and rage. He is going to a garden. He is going to a desk. He carries the swords not to use them, but to remember who he is. The act of dressing has slowed down time. It has taken 20 minutes to put on these clothes. 20 minutes of silence. 20 minutes of mindfulness. In our world, we rush. We try to save time. We drink coffee while we dress. We check our messages while we brush our teeth. We are always thinking about the next thing. But the samurai knows that there is no next thing. There is only this thing. There is only the knot you are tying right now. There is only the pleat you are smoothing right now. If you cannot tie your sash with focus, how can you wield a sword with focus? If you cannot respect your robe, how can you respect your life? The lesson of the dressing is the lesson of the day. Everything matters. The small things are the big things. He steps out into the hallway. The nightingale floor sings beneath his feet. He walks with the rhythm of the floor. He is a ship of silk and steel, setting sail into the morning. Behind him, the room is empty. The futon is folded away in the cupboard. The wash basin is dry. The mirror reflects only the empty wall. The space has been reset. It is ready for the night to return. But for now, the day belongs to him. He moves toward the garden, toward the stones, toward the silence that waits for him outside. You can feel the silk on your own skin now. Imagine it, cool and smooth, heavy and comforting, holding you together. You do not need to move. You do not need to stand up. You can stay here, wrapped in the invisible layers of your own comfort. Your bed is your castle. Your blanket is your robe. You are protected. You are safe in the armor of sleep. The image of the samurai fades. The indigo robe dissolves into the darkness behind your eyes. There is only the feeling of the weight, the good weight, the weight of rest, the weight of peace. Drifting, drifting, drifting. The morning ritual is over. The stillness remains. Let the layers cover you. Sleep. Chapter 3. The Garden of Empty Stone. The samurai steps off the wooden veranda and slips his feet into straw sandals. The sandals are rough and textured against his tabby socks, a grounding sensation that connects him to the earth. He has left the polished singing floors of the castle interior behind. He is entering the domain of the outside world, yet it is a world that is just as controlled, just as manicured, and just as silent as the rooms he left. He walks along a covered corridor. To his left is a wall of white plaster. To his right is the garden. But this is not a garden of flowers. You will find no bright red peonies here. You will find no cherry blossoms scattering in the wind, demanding your attention with their fleeting pink beauty. There are no ferns, no chaotic vines, no buzzing bees seeking nectar. This is a karasansui, a dry landscape garden. It is a garden made of two things, stone and sand. It is a black and white photograph of nature. It is a skeleton of a landscape, stripped of all the flesh, leaving only the bones. The samurai stops at the edge of the viewing platform. He does not enter the garden. One does not walk in a Zen garden. One looks at it. It is a painting that exists in 3 dimensions, designed to be viewed from a seated position, framed by the wooden pillars of the temple or the castle. He sits down on the edge of the veranda. The wood is cool. He folds his legs beneath him. He places his hands on his knees. He straightens his spine. He looks. The garden is a rectangle of white space. It is filled with tons of crushed white granite, gravel carefully sifted so that every piece is roughly the same size. It creates a field of brightness that reflects the gray sky of the morning. Rising out of this white sea are rocks. There are 15 rocks in total. They are dark, rugged, and ancient. They are grouped in clusters, 5 here, 3 there, 2 over in the corner. They look random, but they are not. Their placement is the result of centuries of thought. They are arranged so that no matter where you sit on the veranda, you can never see all 15 rocks at once. One is always hidden behind another. It is a lesson in humility. It reminds the samurai that he cannot know everything. There is always something hidden. There is always a mystery. To see the 15th rock, you would have to move your mind, not your body. He breathes in the cool, damp air. The rain has stopped, but the memory of the rain is still here. The dark rocks are wet. They glisten like the backs of turtles surfacing in a pond. The moss at the base of the rocks is swollen and vibrant green. It is the only soft thing in this hard landscape. It hugs the stone like velvet. The samurai sits for a long time. He does not think about the feudal lord. He does not think about the rice harvest or the budget of the clan. He does not think about his sword. He thinks about the rocks. In the philosophy of the garden, the rocks are islands, or they are mountains. He looks at the largest stone. It stands upright, tall and jagged. It is the Horai stone, the distant mythical mountain of the immortals. It looks unmovable. It speaks of permanence. It speaks of endurance. Then he looks at the sand. The white gravel is the ocean, or it is the clouds. It is the fluid element. But today, the ocean is messy. The rain from last night has disturbed the surface. The wind has blown pine needles onto the white expanse. The perfection has been broken by the chaos of the weather. It is time to restore order. This is the morning duty of the samurai. It is not a chore for the servants. It is a spiritual practice for the master. He stands up. He walks to the corner of the corridor where the tools are kept. He picks up the rake. It is a heavy tool. The handle is a long, polished pole of bamboo. The head is made of solid oak, with thick, wide teeth spaced perfectly apart. He steps down into the gravel. His sandals crunch into the white stone. Crunch, crunch. He disturbs the surface with his weight. He is destroying the garden to save it. He begins in the corner. He reaches out with the rake. He pulls it toward him. This is not like raking leaves in a hurried autumn. This is calligraphy with a heavy tool. He pulls the rake through the heavy gravel. The resistance is significant. The granite chips are heavy. They grind against each other as they move. He must use his hara, his center. He engages his core. He pulls with his whole body, not just his arms. He drags the rake in a straight line. Behind the rake, the chaotic surface is transformed. The teeth of the rake leave deep, parallel furrows, peaks and valleys of white stone. They look like waves, standing waves, waves frozen in time. He moves backward, step by step, pulling the ocean with him. He must be careful. The lines must be perfectly straight. If his mind wanders, the line will waver. If he thinks about his breakfast, the line will become crooked. The garden is a mirror of his mind. If the garden is straight, his mind is straight. He reaches the first rock, the island. Now, he must change the pattern. The water does not flow through the island, it flows around it. He turns the rake. He walks around the rock. He creates concentric circles, ripples. Imagine dropping a pebble into a still pond. The rings expand outward. That is what he is drawing in the stone. Ring after ring, expanding outward until they merge with the straight lines of the open ocean. It requires immense control. He must pivot his body smoothly. He must keep the depth of the furrows exactly the same. He circles the tall stone. He circles the low, flat stone. He is creating a topography of water without a single drop of liquid. This is the concept of yugen, a profound, mysterious sense of the beauty of the universe. It is the beauty of suggestion. By removing the water, the garden forces you to imagine the water. Your mind fills in the blank. You hear the waves crashing against the rocks, even though there is silence. You feel the spray of the sea, even though there is only dust. The emptiness makes the experience more real than reality. He moves across the garden, section by section, erasing the footprints of the wind, erasing his own footprints as he backs away. He is wiping the slate clean. Yesterday is gone. Whatever happened in this garden yesterday, the shadows, the rain, the thoughts, has been raked away. There is only this new pattern, this new moment. He reaches the edge of the veranda. He pulls the rake one last time, smoothing the final border. He steps up onto the wood. He puts the rake away. He sits down again. He looks at his work. The garden is transformed. It is a field of perfect, undulating lines. The white gravel catches the morning light, creating shadows in the furrows. It looks like a sea of silk. It is perfect. But he knows that this perfection is fragile. A single leaf falling from the pine tree will break the pattern. A cat walking across the wall will disturb the stones. The wind will rise this afternoon and soften the sharp edges of the ridges. And tomorrow, he will have to do it all again. This is the lesson. The work is never finished. In the West, we build things to last. We build cathedrals of stone and expect them to stay forever. We finish a painting and hang it on the wall and say, "It is done." But in the East, in the way of the samurai, nothing is ever done. The garden is a process, not an object. The raking is the garden. The maintenance is the beauty. If the garden stayed perfect forever, it would be dead. It is the fact that it falls apart that makes the rebuilding meaningful. Impermanence. Mujo. The samurai watches a cloud pass over the sun. The light in the garden changes. The bright white dulls to a soft gray. The shadows of the ridges disappear, flattening the ocean. Then the cloud passes. The light returns. The shadows pop back into existence. The ocean becomes deep again. The garden is alive. It is reacting to the sky. He allows his gaze to soften. He stops looking at the individual rocks. He stops critiquing his rake marks. He engages his peripheral vision. He takes in the whole rectangle of whiteness at once. His mind expands. This is the concept of Ma, negative space. In a painting, Ma is the empty white space between the ink strokes. In music, Ma is the silence between the notes. In a conversation, Ma is the pause between the words. We usually focus on the things, the rocks, the notes, the words. We think the empty space is just nothing. We think it is a waste. But the samurai knows that the empty space is what gives the things their meaning. Without the white gravel, the rocks are just rocks. With the white gravel, they are mountains. Without the silence, the sound is just noise. With the silence, the sound is music. He breathes into the Ma. He feels the space inside his own chest, the space between his thoughts. Usually our minds are like a cluttered room. Thought after thought, worry after worry, piled on top of each other like a hoard. But watching the emptiness of the garden creates emptiness in the observer. The white gravel acts like a sponge. It absorbs the noise of the mind. The samurai feels a sense of coolness spreading through him. It is not a cold temperature. It is a coolness of the spirit, a detachment. The world of the court, the politics of the clan, the demands of his rank, they all seem very far away. They are just noise outside the walls. Here, inside the wall, there is only geometry and gravity. He notices a small detail. On the moss of the smallest rock, a single drop of dew is clinging to a blade of green. It glitters like a diamond. It is a tiny world. If he looked closer, he would see the reflection of the entire garden in that one drop. He watches it. Eventually, the drop becomes too heavy. It slides down the blade of moss. It falls into the white gravel. It disappears. It leaves a tiny dark spot on the stone, which vanishes in seconds as the moisture evaporates. Gone. He does not mourn the drop. He appreciates that he was there to see it fall. This is Ichigo Ichi. One time, one meeting. This specific moment, the light, the dew, the silence, will never happen again in exactly this way. The universe has arranged itself for him, just for a second. And now it is rearranging itself into something else. To be a samurai is to not miss these moments, to be awake. Most people walk through life asleep. They are thinking about yesterday's argument or tomorrow's dinner. They miss the dewdrop. They miss the shadow. The samurai trains himself to see everything. He sits for an hour, maybe 2. His legs do not grow numb. He is used to the position. His back does not slump. He is a statue observing a landscape of statues. The wind picks up slightly. It rustles the bamboo fence at the edge of the garden. A dry, clicking sound. A few pine needles drift down. They land on the perfectly raked white lines. The pattern is broken. The perfection is flawed. The samurai smiles. a very small internal smile. It is perfect because it is imperfect. Wabi-sabi. The beauty of things that are incomplete. The beauty of things that are modest and humble. If the garden were made of plastic, it would stay perfect forever. And it would be ugly. Because it is made of stone and sand, it changes. And it is beautiful. He prepares to leave. He does not jump up. He moves slowly. He transitions from stillness to motion with care. He places his hands on the wooden veranda. He bows to the garden. It is a bow of gratitude, thanking the stones for their patience, thanking the sand for its fluidity. He stands. He slides his feet back into his sandals. He turns away from the white sea. He walks back down the corridor. The image of the whiteness stays with him. It is burned into his retina. It is a white square of peace that he carries in his mind. Later in the day, when he is practicing with the sword, or when he is writing a report for his lord, or when he is dealing with a difficult problem, he will remember the garden. He will remember the feeling of the rake pulling through the heavy stone. He will remember the stability of the rock. He will remember the vast open space of the white gravel. And he will find that space inside himself. He will find the Ma in the middle of the chaos. He leaves the garden behind. The sun is higher now. The shadows are shortening. The day is moving forward. He is moving toward the next phase of his discipline. He is moving from the softness of the sand to the hardness of the metal. He is moving toward the fire. But that is the story for the next chapter. For now, hold the image of the garden in your mind. Visualize the white gravel, a field of snow that never melts. Visualize the dark rocks, islands in the stream. Visualize the straight lines, order, symmetry, calm. You are the rock. You are heavy. You are solid. You are sitting deep in the earth. The world flows around you like the raked sand. The worries flow past you. The thoughts flow past you. They do not move you. You are the mountain. The air is cool. The light is soft. The stillness is absolute. Let the white noise of the imaginary sand fill your ears. Shh. Quiet, empty, peaceful. Rest in the garden. Sleep. Chapter 4. The Folded Steel. We leave the cool, white silence of the rock garden. We leave the rake leaning against the wooden wall and the patterns of the sand undisturbed. We are moving deeper into the castle grounds, moving away from the administrative quarters and the tea rooms toward the edge of the complex. The air changes as we walk. The smell of damp pine needles and wet stone fades. It is replaced by a new scent. It is a dry, acrid, ancient smell. It is the smell of pine charcoal. It is the smell of iron dust. It is the smell of fire. We are approaching the forge. In the world of the samurai, the sword is not merely a weapon. It is not just a tool of war. It is considered the soul of the samurai. To understand the man, one must understand the steel. And to understand the steel, one must witness its birth. The forge is not a loud, chaotic factory. It is a sanctuary. It is a holy place. We arrive at a small wooden building. It is open on the sides to let the heat escape, but the roof is low and dark, protecting the fire from the sun. A straw rope, a shimenawa, hangs across the entrance. White paper zigzags hang from the rope, fluttering in the breeze. These markers tell us that this is a sacred space. The spirits, the kami, are watching. Impurity is not allowed here. We step inside. The light is dim. The eyes must adjust from the brightness of the morning to the gloom of the smithy. The floor is beaten earth, hard and black with soot. In the center of the room is the pit, the hodo, the firebed. Standing by the fire is the swordsmith. He does not look like a laborer. He is dressed in pure white robes, like a Shinto priest. He wears a tall black hat. Before he begins his work, he performs a ritual of purification. He stands under a cold waterfall or pours cold water over himself to cleanse his body and spirit. He prays to the god of the forge. He believes that he does not make the sword alone. He believes that he is merely a vessel, a conduit for the divine energy to enter the metal. Let us look at the material. On a wooden table, nearby, there is a pile of what looks like gray rocks. They are jagged, rough, and heavy. This is tamahagane, the jewel steel. It is a rare and precious substance. It is produced only in a tatara, a massive clay tub furnace that burns for 3 days and 3 nights, consuming tons of charcoal and iron sand. When the clay tub is smashed open, this gray mass is found at the bottom. It is the purest steel in the world. But right now, it is raw. It is full of holes and impurities. It is brittle. If you hit it, it would shatter like glass. The smith must transform this rock into a blade that will never break and never bend. He begins the process of the fold. He takes the chunks of tamahagane. He stacks them on a metal spatula, like building a small wall of stones. He wraps the stack in rice paper. He dips it in a slurry of clay and straw ash. He places it into the fire. The fire is fueled by pine charcoal. The charcoal is chopped into specific sizes to control the airflow. The apprentices operate the bellows. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The air rushes into the heart of the fire. The charcoal glows. It turns from red to orange to a blinding yellow-white. The smith watches the color. He does not use a thermometer. He uses his eyes. He knows the exact shade of persimmon that indicates the steel is ready. He waits. The heat radiates outward, warming the room, warming us. When the color is perfect, he pulls the glowing lump from the fire. It is dripping with molten slag. It looks like a piece of the sun. He places it on the anvil. Now, the rhythm begins. The smith holds the glowing metal with tongs. He taps it with a small hammer. Ting. This is the signal. Across from him stand 2 apprentices. They hold massive sledgehammers. They are young and strong. They wait for the signal. Ting. The master strikes. Clang. The first apprentice strikes. Clang. The second apprentice strikes. Ting. Clang. Clang. Ting. Clang. Clang. It is a waltz, a heavy metallic waltz. The hammers rise and fall in a perfect circle. They strike the glowing metal with immense force. Sparks fly into the dark air like fireworks, tracing golden arcs before vanishing on the dirt floor. Under the blows, the stack of metal pieces is crushed together. The heat fuses them into a single block. The smith returns the block to the fire. He heats it again. He brings it back to the anvil. Now, he lengthens it. He hammers it until it is a long, flat bar. And then, he does the thing that defines the samurai sword. He takes a chisel. He makes a cut in the center of the bar. He folds the steel over onto itself, like closing a book. He puts it back in the fire. He heats it until the 2 layers sweat and fuse. He brings it out. He hammers it flat again. 1 fold, 2 layers. He does it again. He lengthens the bar. He cuts it. He folds it. 2 folds, 4 layers. Why does he do this? He is purifying the metal. Every time he folds and hammers, the impurities, the sulfur, the phosphorus, the slag, are squeezed out. They drip away. And every time he folds, he is blending the carbon. He is making the steel uniform. He is removing the weak spots. Let us do the math of the fold. It is a hypnotic progression. 3 folds, 8 layers. 4 folds, 16 layers. 5 folds, 32 layers. The numbers grow exponentially. 10 folds, 1,024 layers, 12 folds, 4,000 layers, 15 folds, 32,000 layers, 32,000 sheets of steel compressed into the thickness of a single blade. It is microscopic. It is beyond the ability of the human eye to see. But the structure is there, like the pages of a book that has no end. The smith continues, fold after fold, heat after heat. The sound of the hammers becomes a mantra. It fills the room. It vibrates in the chest. It is not a sound of destruction. It is a sound of creation. It is the heartbeat of the forge. The smith is in a trance. He does not speak. He does not wipe the sweat from his brow. His entire being is focused on the color of the metal and the rhythm of the strike. This is Mushin. No mind. He is not thinking, I am making a sword. He is not thinking, I am tired. He and the hammer and the steel are one thing. After days of folding, the steel is ready. But a sword cannot be made of just one type of steel. If the steel is too hard, it will hold a sharp edge, but it will snap if it hits armor. If the steel is too soft, it will not break, but it will dull instantly. The samurai needs a paradox. He needs a blade that is both hard and soft. So the smith builds a sandwich. He takes a bar of soft, low-carbon steel. This will be the shingane, the core, the spine. It is flexible. It absorbs shock. He wraps this core in a jacket of the hard, folded high-carbon steel. This is the kawagane, the skin. This will be the razor edge, hard on the outside, soft on the inside. He heats them together. He hammers them. They fuse into one blade. Now comes the shaping. The smith works alone now. He uses a smaller hammer. Tap, tap, tap. He draws out the length. He shapes the tip, the kisaki. He shapes the gentle curve. The blade begins to look like a sword, but it is dull gray. It is not shiny. It looks like a long piece of iron. It is time for the soul to be put into the blade. It is time for the yaki-ire, the quenching. This is the most critical moment. If the smith fails here, weeks of work are ruined. The blade will crack. The sun has gone down outside. It is night. The smith turns off the lights in the forge. He needs absolute darkness to see the true temperature of the steel. He takes a mixture of clay, charcoal powder, and stone powder. He paints the blade with this clay. But he does not paint it evenly. He paints a thick layer of clay on the back of the sword, the spine. He paints a very thin layer of clay on the edge of the sword, the cutting part. He uses the clay to draw a pattern, waves, mountains, cloves. This pattern will become the hamon, the temper line, the misty white line that dances along the edge of a finished katana. The clay dries. The smith stokes the fire. He works the bellows gently. Whoosh, whoosh. He slides the clay-coated blade into the coals. He watches. He is looking for the colors of the dawn. The steel turns dark red, then bright red. He is waiting for a specific color, the color of the moon in February. He pulls the blade out. He looks at it. Not yet. He puts it back. He pulls it out again. Now. He walks to the trough of water. It is a long wooden box filled with water. He holds the glowing blade above the water. He takes a breath. He plunges it in. Hiss. A scream of steam. A violent reaction. The water boils instantly around the metal. Physics takes over. The edge of the blade, where the clay is thin, cools down instantly. In a fraction of a second, the steel crystals freeze into a hard, diamond-like structure called martensite. This creates the razor edge. The back of the blade, where the clay is thick, cools slowly. It stays hot for a few seconds longer. The crystals form a softer, springy structure called pearlite. This creates the flexible spine. And then, something miraculous happens. Because the edge and the spine cool at different rates, the steel expands and contracts differently. The blade moves. Underwater, in the dark trough, the sword curves. It arches its back. It pulls itself into the perfect, graceful curve of the katana. It creates its own shape. The smith holds it in the water until it is cold. He pulls it out. The clay has washed away. The blade is black and grey. He taps it against a piece of wood. Ding! It rings. A clear, high, bell-like tone. If it had cracked, it would sound dull. Thud. But it rings. It is whole. It is alive. The smith lets out a long breath. The tension leaves the room. The spirit has entered the steel. He wipes the blade. He looks at it in the dim light. It is rough. It is ugly. It is covered in scale and oxidation. It does not look like a mirror yet. It does not look like a weapon. It looks like a potential. The forging is done. The firework is finished. The heat of the forge begins to fade. The charcoal turns to white ash. The red glow dies down. The smith bows to the forge. He bows to the fire god. He is exhausted. His white robes are stained with soot and sweat. But his mind is clear. He has taken the earth, the iron sand, the charcoal, the clay, the water, and he has bound them together with human will. He has created something that will last for 500 years. Long after he is dead, long after the castle has crumbled, this blade will remain. The samurai, watching from the doorway, feels the heat dissipating. He understands the lesson of the forge. Life is the fire. Life is the hammer. We are all lumps of raw ore. We are full of impurities. We are weak. But if we submit to the discipline, if we allow ourselves to be heated and folded and hammered, we become strong. We become refined. The layers of our experience stack up, one on top of the other. Thousands of layers of memory and lesson. And finally, the quench, the sudden shocks of life that freeze our character into its true shape. Hard on the outside, to face the world. Soft on the inside, to absorb the pain. That is the ideal. That is the goal. The samurai turns away from the forge. He walks back into the night air. The contrast is shocking. The air is cold. The smell of the sulfur and charcoal lingers in his nose, but the smell of the damp garden returns. He walks back toward the main keep. The night is quiet. The only sound is the rhythmic clack-clack of the night watchman in the distance, hitting two wooden sticks together to signal that all is well. The sword is born. But it is not finished. It is merely a shape. It has no voice yet. It has no shine. It must go to the polisher. It must go to the man who works with water and stone. It must go from the violence of the hammer to the silence of the rub. But that is the story for the next chapter. For now, imagine the heat of the forge fading from your skin. Imagine the glowing orange light dimming to a soft, warm ember. You are like the steel. You have been worked all day. You have been hammered by the demands of the world. You have been folded by stress. But now, the work is done. You are cooling down. You are finding your shape. You are sliding into the trough of cool, dark water. The steam rises. The noise stops. The crystals of your mind are settling into a stable pattern. You are solid. You are whole. You are resting on the wooden rack. The fire is out. The smith is sleeping. The castle is silent. Let the coolness wash over you. Layer upon layer of silence. Fold upon fold of sleep. Rest. Chapter 5. The Polisher's House. The heat of the forge is behind us. The ringing of the hammer has faded into the memory of the iron. We leave the castle grounds now, walking down the winding stone path that leads to the quiet outskirts of the town. We are looking for a specific house. It is a humble wooden structure, sitting in the shadow of a bamboo grove. It does not look like a place of war. It looks like a place of meditation. There is no smoke rising from the chimney here. There is no roar of bellows. There is only the sound of water. We slide open the door. Inside, the light is strange. It is soft, cool, and incredibly steady. The house is built facing north. The polisher, the togishi, cannot work in direct sunlight. The sun moves too much. It changes the shadows. He needs the constant, diffuse light of the northern sky to see the truth of the steel. The room is sparse. The floor is made of hard-packed earth or wooden slats. In the center of the room, there is a low wooden platform. And on the platform sits a large wooden tub filled with water. This is the domain of the polisher. If the swordsmith is the father of the blade, giving it a body, then the polisher is the mother, giving it a soul. When the sword arrives here from the forge, it is ugly. It is black with fire scale. It is rough. It is dull. It looks like a simple bar of metal. It hides its secrets. The polisher's job is to remove everything that is not the sword. He must grind away the outer shell to reveal the inner light. It is a process of subtraction. He sits on a small stool. He is dressed in simple cotton clothes. His hands are calloused, but his fingers are sensitive enough to feel a grain of dust on a pane of glass. He picks up the blade. It is heavy. He wraps the handle in a cloth to protect his hand. He looks at the first stone. The polishing stones are treasures. They are quarried from specific mountains in Kyoto. They are sedimentary rocks, formed millions of years ago at the bottom of ancient lakes. They have names. They have personalities. He begins with the arato, the rough stone. It is a large brick-shaped rock. It is coarse and red. He splashes water onto the stone. The water sits on the surface, a thin, shimmering film. He places the blade on the stone. He aligns his body. His posture must be perfect. If he leans too far forward, he will ruin the geometry of the edge. If he leans too far back, he will blunt the tip. He begins the stroke. He pushes the blade away from him. He pulls it back. Shh, krr. Shh, krr. The sound is gritty. It is the sound of friction. The stone is eating the steel. He works in sections. He starts at the base of the blade, near the hilt. He rubs back and forth, counting the strokes. 20 strokes here. Then he moves up an inch. 20 strokes there. He moves slowly up the length of the sword, all the way to the tip. Then he flips it over. He does the other side, hour after hour, day after day. The black scale disappears. The gray metal is revealed. The shape of the sword becomes crisp. The lines become straight. The water in the tub turns gray with steel dust. The stone itself wears down, sacrificing its body to shape the sword. This stage takes a week, a whole week of scratching. But the polisher does not rush. He cannot rush. If he hurries, he creates heat. Heat will warp the blade. He must keep it cool. He must keep it wet. He washes the sword. He washes the tub. He changes the water. He moves to the next stone, the binsui. This stone is white. It is finer. It feels like sandstone. The sound changes. The gritty scratching becomes a softer rubbing sound. Shh, 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 shh. Now, he is not just removing metal. He is defining the geometry. A samurai sword is not flat. It has a complex shape. The sides are convex, curved outward like a clamshell. This gives the blade strength. It creates a ridgeline called the shinogi. The polisher must maintain this curve perfectly along the entire 3-foot length of the blade. He uses his thumbs to guide the steel. He feels the curve. He closes his eyes sometimes. His fingers know more than his eyes. He works the blade until the deep scratches from the first stone are gone, replaced by finer scratches from the second stone. It is a process of refinement. replacing big problems with smaller problems, and then replacing those with even smaller ones. He changes stones again. The kaisei, the chunagura, the komanagura. Each stone is smoother than the last. Each stone is harder to find. By the second week, the sword is beginning to shine. It is no longer grey, it is silver. It reflects the face of the polisher. It reflects the bamboo trees outside the window. But it is not finished. The polisher stops. He cleans the room. He sweeps the floor. He changes his clothes. The final stage is sacred. It is called shiage, the finishing. He sits down again, but he does not use the big stones anymore. He holds the sword steady on a wooden block. He picks up a tiny chip of stone. It is no bigger than a postage stamp. It is paper thin. This is the hazuya. It is made from a stone found deep in the mountains. It is incredibly hard, but smooth. He glues this tiny chip of stone to the tip of his thumb with a piece of Japanese paper and lacquer. His thumb becomes the tool. He dips his thumb in water. He begins to rub the blade. It is an intimate motion. He is caressing the steel, centimeter by centimeter. Rub, rub, rub. The sound is almost inaudible, a faint whispering. He is working on the heiman, the temper line. This is the wavy line that runs down the edge of the blade. It is the border between the hard steel of the edge and the soft steel of the spine. Under the rough stones, this line was invisible, but under the tiny thumb stone, it begins to emerge. It looks like a cloud. It looks like mist rising from a river, or waves crashing on a beach. It is white, milky, mysterious. The polisher brings out this whiteness. He makes it glow. He moves to the spine of the sword. He changes his thumbstone to a different type, the jizuya. This stone makes the steel dark. He rubs the spine. It turns a deep, dark, lustrous blue-black. The contrast is stunning. The spine is like the night sky. The edge is like the Milky Way. He spends days on this, just sitting in the quiet room, rubbing the steel with his thumb. His mind must be empty. If he has an angry thought, his hand might slip. The thumbstone might cut him. The blood would stain the blade. The rust would start instantly. He must be as calm as the water in the tub. Finally, the polishing is done. But there is one last step, the nugui. He takes a small ball of cotton. He dips it in a special oil mixed with microscopic iron powder. He wipes the blade. He wipes away the last of the dust. He seals the surface. He holds the sword up to the northern window. He tilts it. The light runs down the blade like liquid mercury. There is not a single scratch, not a single distortion. It is a mirror, but it is a dangerous mirror. It pulls your eye into the depths of the steel. You can see the layers. The 32,000 folds created by the smith are visible now. They look like the grain of wood, a pattern of swirling lines called hada, skin. The sword has a texture. It looks organic. It looks like it grew out of the earth. The polisher sighs. He is tired. His shoulders ache. His fingers are raw. But he has accomplished his task. He has liberated the sword from the rock. He takes a piece of soft paper. He wipes the oil. He slides the blade into a plain wooden scabbard, the shirasaya, the resting scabbard. He places it on the rack. The room is silent again. The water in the tub is still. The samurai, who has been waiting, steps forward. He does not speak. He bows to the polisher. He takes the sword. He feels the change. It was heavy before. Now it feels lighter. Not because it has lost weight, but because it has gained balance. It feels awake. He leaves the polisher's house. He walks back into the afternoon light. Think of your own mind as the sword. Throughout the day, Your mind gets dull. It gets covered in the scale of stress. It gets scratched by worries. It gets rusty with resentment. You become rough. You become grey. Sleep is the polisher's house. Sleep is the northern light. It is the cool water. When you lie down in bed, you are placing yourself on the wooden platform. You are beginning the process of refinement. The first stage of sleep is the rough stone, the arato. It grinds away the heavy physical exhaustion. It removes the dirt of the day. The dreaming stage is the medium stone, the binsui. It sorts through your memories. It shapes the geometry of your thoughts. It aligns the spine of your mind. And deep sleep. Deep sleep is the tiny thumbstone, the hazuya. It works on the microscopic level. It polishes the neurons. It clears away the chemical waste. It brings out the hamon, the inner light of your consciousness. It is a slow process. It cannot be rushed. You cannot force yourself to sleep, just as the polisher cannot force the steel to shine. You must submit to the friction. You must submit to the time. Imagine the sensation of the polishing stone. Cool, wet, smooth, sliding over your forehead, sliding over your thoughts. Rub, rub, rub. Every stroke removes a worry. Every stroke removes a jagged edge. Back and forth, back and forth. The noise of the world is being ground away. The static is being replaced by a mirror finish. You are becoming clear. You are becoming transparent. The water in the tub is absorbing the grey dust. Your mind is becoming pristine. The polisher is gentle. He knows exactly how much pressure to apply. He is smoothing you out. You are safe in his hands. You are safe in the quiet room with the northern light. Let the water wash over the steel. Let the silence wash over the mind. The blade is finished. The work is done. It is time to put the sword away. It is time to slide it into the resting scabbard. Dark, wooden, soft. The sword sleeps in the wood. You sleep in the bed. Protected, refined, ready to rest. Sleep. Chapter 6. The Way of the Bow. The afternoon light has shifted. The bright, diffuse whiteness of the polisher's house has given way to the deeper golden tones of the late day. The rain, which had paused while the sword was being revealed, has returned. It is a gentle, vertical rain, falling straight down from a grey sky, washing the dust from the castle walls. The samurai walks along the covered wooden corridors. He is leaving the town. He is returning to the heart of the castle, but he is not going inside the keep. He is heading to a long, low building on the edge of the gardens. The Kyudo, the archery hall. He slides open the heavy wooden door and steps inside. The atmosphere here is different from the forge or the polisher's hut. The forge was hot and smoky. The polisher's house was wet and gritty. The dojo is dry, clean, and smells of old wood and straw. It is a beautiful structure. It is open on one side. There is no wall facing the garden. The entire length of the building is open to the elements, sheltered only by the deep overhang of the eaves. He stands on the polished wooden floor. He looks out into the rain. 28 meters away, across a manicured lawn of green grass, stands the azuchi, the target bank. It is a small roofed structure built into a hill of sand. Under its roof sit the targets. Mato, small circles of white paper with black rings, bright against the dark sand. Between the samurai and the targets, there is only the rain. It falls in a shimmering curtain. He is not here to fight. He is not here to practice war. In the time of peace, the bow has become something else. It has become Kyudo, the way of the bow. It is standing Zen. It is a method of cleaning the spirit. He prepares. He removes the two swords from his sash. He places them on a rack. They are heavy symbols of his status, and here he must be light. He takes off his outer robe. He ties back his long sleeves with a cord, crossing it over his back to free his shoulders. He walks to the equipment rack. He picks up the bow. The Yumi. It is a magnificent object. It is unlike any other bow in the world. It is exceptionally tall, over 2 meters long. It towers over the man who holds it. It is asymmetrical. The grip is not in the center. It is 2/3 of the way down. This gives the bow a strange, graceful balance. The upper limb is long and majestic. The lower limb is short and strong. It is made of bamboo and wood, laminated together. Strips of roasted bamboo facing the outside. Strips of clear bamboo facing the inside. Glued with fish bladder glue and wrapped in rattan cane. It is lacquered in deep red or black. It feels cool and smooth in the hand. It feels alive. It has a slight vibration, a hum of potential energy. He picks up the arrows. The ya. The shafts are made of bamboo, harvested in the winter when the sap is low. They are straightened over a fire. They are fletched with the feathers of a hawk or an eagle. He runs his fingers over the feathers. They are soft, yet stiff. They are aligned perfectly to spin the arrow. Flight. He puts on the glove. The yugake. This is a specialized tool. It is made of smoked deerskin. It smells of leather and rosin. The thumb of the glove is reinforced with wood or horn. It is hard. It has a groove in it to hold the string. He puts rosin on the thumb, a white sticky powder made from pine resin. It creates friction. It gives him control. He steps onto the shooting line. The shai. The floor is polished hinoki cypress. It is flawless. He slides his feet across it. Swish, swish. He stands facing the side wall. He does not look at the target yet. He begins the ritual. It is called the hasetsu, the 8 stages of shooting. It is a dance of slowness. There is no rush to release the arrow. The release is just the end. The journey is the drawing. Stage 1. Ashibumi, footing. He looks down at his feet. He slides his left foot forward. Then he brings his right foot to meet it and slides it outward like a fan. He plants his feet firmly. He imagines roots growing from his soles, down through the wooden floor, deep into the earth. He is a tree. The wind cannot move him. The worry cannot move him. He is grounded. Stage 2. Dozukuri, correcting the posture. He checks his spine. It must be perfectly straight. A vertical line connecting the earth to the sky. He relaxes his shoulders. He relaxes his chest. He tucks his chin slightly. He breathes. Deep into the belly. The hara. In. Out. The rain patters on the roof. It is a steady rhythm. He matches his breath to the rain. Stage 3. Yugamai, readying the bow. He turns his head to look at the target. It is a white blur in the distance, veiled by the rain. He knocks the arrow. Click. He places his gloved thumb around the string. He locks his fingers over his thumb. This is the Mongolian draw. The thumb holds the weight. He settles. He holds the bow and arrow at waist level. He creates a circle with his arms. A circle of potential. Stage 4. Ukiokoshi, raising the bow. Slowly, effortlessly, he raises his hands above his head. He lifts the bow and the arrow together. The movement is filled with air. It looks as if the bow is floating upward, pulled by an invisible string from the clouds. He holds it there, high above his head. His chest is open. His lungs are full. He is offering the arrow to the heavens. Stage 5. Hikiwake, drawing apart. He begins to lower the bow, and at the same time, he begins to push and pull. He pushes the bow grip with his left hand. He pulls the string with his right elbow. He does not use his biceps. Biceps are small muscles. They get tired. He uses his back. He uses the large muscles of his shoulder blades. He expands. The bow bends. It creaks softly. A tiny wooden groan of tension. The string sings a low note as it tightens. He draws the arrow back, past his ear, past his cheek. Stage 6. Kai, the full draw. This is the most important moment. The meeting. The arrow is fully drawn. The bow is under immense tension. It wants to snap back. It wants to return to its straight shape. The samurai holds it. Physically, he is holding 50 pounds of pressure. But mentally, he is holding nothing. He is not aiming. He is not squinting at the target thinking, I must hit the center. If he thinks about hitting the target, he will miss. Desire creates tension. Tension creates error. He must achieve mushin. No mind. He waits. He waits for the shot to ripen. Think of a fruit hanging on a tree. You do not pull it off. You wait until it is heavy, full of juice, ready to drop. He holds the tension. He expands his chest further. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. The rain falls. The world turns. The bow trembles slightly, a vibration of power. He is uniting himself with the target. There is no here and there. There is no me and it. They are one single circuit. Stage 7. Hanare, the release. He does not open his fingers. He does not decide to let go. The shot happens. It is an explosion of stillness. The string rips itself from his glove. Twang. It is a sharp, resonant sound. It sounds like a harp string breaking. It cuts through the sound of the rain. The bow spins in his left hand. This is the yugeri, the turning of the bow. It spins so fast it blurs, the string striking the back of his arm. The arrow flies. It is invisible. It moves too fast for the eye to track. It is just a streak of motion, a disturbance in the raindrops. It crosses the 28 meters in a fraction of a second. Thwack. The sound of arrival. The arrow hits the target house. It pierces the paper target. It buries itself in the sandbank behind. The sound echoes in the garden. Stage 8. Zanshin, remaining mind. The samurai does not drop his hands. He does not cheer. He does not frown. He remains exactly as he is. His arms are open wide like wings. His chest is expanded. His eyes are fixed on the spot where the arrow landed. He is tracking the spirit of the arrow. The physical action is over, but the mental action continues. The vibration of the string is still fading in the air. The energy is still radiating outward. He exhales, a long, slow breath that empties his lungs completely. He lowers his hands. He brings his feet back together. He turns his head back to the front. He has returned. He checks the result. The arrow is in the target. It is near the center. But it does not matter. In Kyudo, hitting the target is just a side effect. It is the evidence that your mind was clear. If you miss, it is evidence that your mind was clouded. The target is a mirror. It shows you yourself. He draws a second arrow. The ritual begins again. Footing, posture, readying, raising, drawing, holding, releasing, remaining. It is a cycle. He shoots for an hour. The repetition is soothing. The rhythm of the shot becomes a mantra. Raise, draw, hold, release, raise, draw, hold, release. The rain intensifies outside. It drums harder on the roof of the dojo. It creates a wall of white noise. The world outside the dojo disappears. There is only this wooden floor, this bamboo bow, and this moment. His muscles are tired, but it is a good tiredness. It is the fatigue of use, the fatigue of focus. The knots in his mind have been untied. The tension of the court politics has been transferred into the bowstring and shot away. He fires the last arrow. Twang, thwack. He stands in Zanshin one last time. He listens to the rain. He feels lighter, hollowed out, clean. He bows to the target area, a deep bow of respect. He walks to the rack. He puts the bow away. He unstrings it. The bow relaxes. It curves back into its resting shape. The tension is gone. He takes off the glove. He wipes the rosin from his thumb. He puts on his outer robe. He ties the sleeves. He picks up his swords. He slides them back into his sash. He leaves the dojo. He slides the heavy door shut. Rumble. Click. The sound of the bowstring is gone. The silence returns. As he walks back toward the castle keep, the evening is approaching. The grey light is fading into blue. The lanterns are being lit along the corridors. The active part of the day is over. The training is done. The body has been worked. Now, it is time for the mind to rest. It is time for the softer arts. The sword and the bow are the hard side of the samurai. The soft side is the brush and the tea. Balance. Bunbu Ryodo. The pen and the sword in accord. You cannot have one without the other. If you are all tension, you will break. If you are all softness, you will be crushed. You must be both. The samurai walks through the twilight. He feels the balance in his own body. Think of yourself as the bow. All day you have been drawn. You have been under tension. The string has been pulled tight. You have been holding. But now, the arrow has been released. The shot is over. You can unstring the bow. You can let the wood relax. You can let it return to its natural curve. You do not need to aim anymore. You do not need to hit any targets. The target is sleep, and you do not hit it by trying. You hit it by letting go. Visualize the arrow flying through the rain. It is flying away from you. It is carrying your worries. It is carrying your lists. It is carrying your stress. It flies into the mist. It disappears. Gone. You are standing in the empty dojo. The floor is polished and clean. The rain is a curtain protecting you. You are in zanshin, remaining mind, still, aware, peaceful. The vibration of the day is fading. The string is still. The air is quiet. Rest in the aftermath of the release. Sleep. Chapter 7. The brush and the ink. The day has turned. The grey light of the rainy afternoon has deepened into the indigo of early evening. The lanterns in the castle corridors have been lit, casting warm, flickering pools of orange light onto the polished wooden floors. The samurai has left the dojo. He has left the physical exertion of the bow behind. His breathing has returned to a slow, undetectable rhythm. The sweat has cooled. The muscles have relaxed. He walks to a different part of the residence. He enters the shoin, the study. This is a room of shadows and silence. It is smaller than the audience halls. It is intimate. The walls are lined with shelves holding scrolls and books bound in blue thread. The air here smells different. It does not smell of iron or wet stone. It smells of old paper, dried cloves, and the sharp, pine-scented aroma of ink. He slides the door shut behind him. The sound of the rain outside is muffled now, a distant, comforting hum. He walks to the low desk in the center of the room. It is made of rosewood, dark and heavy. He kneels on the cushion. He adjusts his robes. He sits in Caesar, the formal kneeling position. His back is straight, but not stiff. He is a mountain sitting on the floor. Before him lie the tools of his next discipline. They are known as Bunbu Shihu, the four treasures of the study: the brush, the paper, the ink stick, the inkstone. In the West, writing is a tool. We write to convey information, to make lists, to sign documents. But in the East, in the way of the samurai, writing is shodo, the way of calligraphy. It is a martial art. It requires the same focus, the same breath, and the same posture as the sword. Bunbu Ryodo, the pen and the sword in accord. The samurai believes that a warrior who cannot write poetry is incomplete. He is just a brute. To be whole, he must be able to appreciate the moon as deeply as he understands the blade. He begins the ritual. He reaches for the suzuri, the inkstone. It is a heavy, rectangular slab of slate, quarried from the riverbeds of China or the mountains of Japan. It is cold to the touch. It is black as night. The surface of the stone looks smooth, but it is actually covered in microscopic teeth. It is a file. He takes a small copper pitcher, the suiteki. He pours a few drops of water onto the stone. Drip, drip. The water sits on the surface, a clear pool in the land of the stone. He reaches for the sumi, the ink stick. This is not liquid ink from a bottle. It is a solid block. It is made from the soot of burnt pine branches or vegetable oil mixed with animal glue, dried and aged for years. It is decorated with gold leaf dragons. It smells of the forest and the fire. He holds the inkstick vertically. He dips it into the water on the stone. He begins to grind. No. Imagine the sound. It is not a scratch. It is a soft, wet, rubbing sound. Shh, shh, shh. He moves the stick in a circular motion, round and round. This is the most important part of the process. You cannot rush the grinding of the ink. If you grind too fast, the ink will be coarse and bubbly. If you press too hard, the color will be flat. You must be gentle. You must be patient. It takes 20 minutes to grind enough ink for a single session. 20 minutes of sitting. 20 minutes of circling. Shh. 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 The water begins to darken. First it is gray. Then it is the color of a storm cloud. Then it is charcoal. Finally, it becomes a deep, glossy, absolute black. The smell rises from the stone. It is a calming, medicinal scent. It clears the sinuses. It focuses the mind. While he grinds, the samurai empties his thoughts. He watches the ink pool in the well of the stone. It is a black lake. It is infinite depth. He is not thinking about what he will write. He is simply dissolving his ego into the ink. The stick wears down, giving its body to the water. The samurai gives his attention to the motion. When the ink is thick and viscous like honey, he stops. He wipes the stick. He places it down. He reaches for the kami, the paper. It is washi, handmade paper. It is not like the cold, hard paper of a machine. It is warm. It has texture. It is made from the fibers of the mulberry bush. He touches it. It feels soft, almost like fabric. It is porous. It is thirsty. It is waiting to drink the ink. He places a sheet on the desk. He smooths it flat with his hand. The sound of skin on paper. Swish. He places a heavy iron weight, a buncheon, at the top of the page to hold it still. Finally, the feud, the brush. The handle is a slender tube of bamboo. The bristles are animal hair, wolf, badger, horse, or sometimes the whiskers of a mountain goat. The bristles are stiff at the center to provide a spine, and soft on the outside to hold the liquid. He dips the brush into the inkstone. He watches the white bristles soak up the black liquid. They turn dark. They swell. He drags the brush against the edge of the stone to remove the excess ink, to shape the tip into a perfect point. He holds the brush. He does not hold it like a pencil. He holds it vertically, perpendicular to the paper. His fingers are relaxed but firm. His wrist is locked. The movement will not come from his fingers. It will come from his shoulder. It will come from his hara. He hovers the brush over the white paper. This is the moment of commitment. In oil painting, you can paint over a mistake. In pencil, you can erase. But in shodo, there is no return. Once the brush touches the paper, the ink flows. It soaks in instantly. You cannot hesitate. You cannot correct. The line is the line. It is a record of your mind at that exact second. If your mind is fearful, the line will be shaky. If your mind is arrogant, the line will be thick and clumsy. If your mind is clear, the line will be true. He takes a breath. In, out. He touches the paper. Whoosh. The brush glides, it dances. He writes a single character. Mu. Nothingness. The brush lands heavy at the start. It creates a thick, black anchor. Then it sweeps to the right. It lifts, becoming a thin trail of smoke. It lands again. It turns a corner. The ink bleeds slightly into the fibers of the mulberry paper. It creates a soft, fuzzy edge called nijimi. It looks alive. It looks like it is breathing. He finishes the stroke. He lifts the brush into the air. He exhales. He looks at the character. It is strong. It is balanced. It sits on the white page with authority. The black ink glistens, wet and fresh. He dips the brush again. He decides to write a poem. A haiku, the short poem of the season. He writes vertically, starting from the right. Furueikeya, the old pond. The brush moves rhythmically. Dip, right, lift, dip, right, lift. Kawazu tobikomu. A frog jumps in. The characters flow down the page like a waterfall. Some are connected by invisible lines of energy. Mizu no oto, sound of the water. He finishes. He places the brush on the rest. He sits and looks at the words. The old pond. A frog jumps in. Sound of the water. It is a poem about silence. It is a poem about a single moment breaking the stillness, and then the stillness returning. It is the story of his day, the stillness of the morning, the action of the arrow, the return to the stillness of the night. The ink begins to dry. It loses its wet gloss and becomes a matte, velvety black. It fuses with the paper. It becomes permanent. This sheet of paper will last for 1,000 years. The washi is acid-free. The sumi ink is carbon. It will not fade. Long after the samurai is gone, this piece of paper will remain in a box. Someone will open it. They will see the strength of the stroke. They will see the speed of the brush. They will feel the energy of this specific rainy evening. He writes another sheet, and another. It is a form of prayer. The sound of the brush on paper is the only sound in the room. Scritch, swish, scritch. It is the sound of thoughts becoming visible. He writes the character for peace. Hei. He writes the character for harmony. Wa. He writes the character for dream. Yume. The pile of paper grows. His mind is floating. He is not judging the work. He is just flowing. He is the water. He is the ink. The candle on the desk has burned down. The wax is pooling. The light is getting lower, casting long, dancing shadows on the shelves. He feels a deep sense of satisfaction. The creative energy has been spent. It is time to close the practice. He takes the water pitcher. He pours fresh water onto the inkstone. He begins to clean. This is just as important as the writing. You must respect the tools. He washes the inkstone carefully. He removes every trace of the black soot. If he leaves it, it will rot the stone. He wipes it dry with a soft cloth. He washes the brush. He swirls it in a bowl of clear water until the water runs clear. He shapes the bristles back into a perfect point. He hangs it on the rack to dry. He covers the ink stick. He places the weight on the stack of finished poems. The desk is clean. The tools are sleeping. The room returns to its original state. The samurai sits in the dim light. He feels the quiet of the house. The servants have finished their work. The kitchen fires are banked. The gates are locked. The castle is settling down for the night. He feels the fatigue in his eyes. It is a gentle heaviness. He has used his eyes to see the mist, to see the rocks, to see the target, to see the ink. Now, his eyes want to rest. They want to see nothing. He stands up slowly. His legs are stiff from the long sitting. He walks to the door. He slides it open. He looks out into the corridor. It is dark. The lanterns are glowing softly, guiding the way to the tea room. He has one last ritual before sleep, the ritual of the taste. But the work of the intellect is done. The words have been written. He leaves the study. He leaves the smell of the pine ink behind. He moves through the shadows. He is lighter now. He has poured his mind onto the paper, and now his mind is empty. Empty and ready for rest. Imagine the black ink drying on the white page. Imagine the moisture evaporating into the air. The words are setting. They are becoming solid. You do not need to write anything. You do not need to say anything. Your day is written. It is finished. You can put down the brush. You can close the book. The ink is dry. The page is turned. There is nothing left to do but drift, drifting like the smoke from the candle, drifting like the ink in the water. Rest in the quiet of the study. Sleep. Chapter 8. The Tea and the Moon. The ink has dried on the paper. The brush has been washed and hung to dry. The intellectual work of the day is finished. The samurai leaves the study. He walks down the long wooden corridor of the residence. The castle is quiet now. The bustling sounds of the day, the servants, the guards, the horses, have faded away. There is only the settling of the great timbers and the soft sighing of the wind outside. He slides open a side door and steps out onto the wooden veranda. The rain has stopped. The clouds have broken apart, scattering like sheep across the night sky. And in the gaps between the clouds, the moon is shining. It is a harvest moon, full, bright, and silver. It reflects in the puddles on the ground. It reflects in the dark water of the moat. It turns the white plaster walls of the castle into ghostly silver cliffs. He puts on his garden sandals, zori, woven straw. He steps down from the veranda. He is entering the garden again, but this is a different garden from the dry stone landscape of the morning. This is the roji, the dewy path. It is a path designed specifically for one purpose, to lead the mind away from the world and toward the tea. He walks slowly. The path is made of stepping stones, tobi ishi, flying stones. They are set into the moss in an irregular pattern. You cannot walk in a straight line here. You must look down. You must pay attention to where you place your feet. This is by design. It forces you to slow down. It forces you to disconnect from the horizon and focus on the ground beneath you. The air is cold and crisp. It smells of damp earth and night-blooming jasmine. He reaches a small stone basin set low to the ground, the tsukubai. Water flows from a bamboo pipe into the hollow of the stone. It overflows, darkening the rocks around it. He crouches down. He takes the wooden ladle. He fills it with water. He pours water over his left hand, then his right hand. Then he pours a little into his cupped hand and rinses his mouth. Finally, he tips the ladle up to wash the handle for the next person. The water is freezing cold. It shocks the skin. It cleanses the dust of the world. It is a ritual of purification. Before you enter the tea house, you must wash away the dirt of the city, the dirt of the ego. He stands up. He dries his hands on a clean white cloth. Ahead of him, hidden in a grove of bamboo and pine, is the tea house, the chashitsu. It is a tiny, humble structure. It looks like a peasant's hut. It has a thatched roof and mud walls. It is wattle and daub. It is weathered and brown. This is the aesthetic of wabi. Rustic simplicity. The samurai is a man of high rank. He lives in a castle with gold screens and silk robes. But here, in the garden, he seeks the poverty of the hermit. He seeks the beauty of things that are imperfect and temporary. He approaches the door, but it is not a normal door. It is the nijiriguchi, the crawling entrance. It is a small square opening, only about 2 feet high. You cannot walk through it. You cannot strut through it with your head held high. To enter the world of tea, you must kneel. You must lower yourself. You must crawl. The samurai removes his sandals. He leaves them on a stone outside. He kneels on the rough wood of the threshold. He places his hands on the floor inside. He slides his body through the small opening. He is inside. He stands up slowly. The room is small. It is only 4.5 tatami mats in size, about 9 feet square. It is dim. The windows are small and covered with paper, so no view of the outside world can distract the mind. The only light comes from a small oil lamp in the corner and the red glow of the charcoal in the hearth. It is a cave, a warm, quiet cave. The smell is distinct. It smells of dried straw, tatami, old bamboo, and the faint, sweet scent of incense, aloes wood. He walks to the tokonoma, the alcove. Earlier there was a scroll of calligraphy here. Now there is a flower, a chabana. It is a single camellia bud placed in a bamboo vase. It is still wet with the dew of the garden. It leans slightly to the left. It looks as if it is still growing in the field. He bows to the flower. He appreciates its life. It was cut for this moment. It will die tomorrow. But tonight, it is perfect. He turns to the hearth. The row. It is a square pit cut into the floor. Inside, the charcoal is burning. The pieces of charcoal are arranged in a specific geometric pattern to maximize the airflow. They glow with a deep, pulsing heat. Sitting on the charcoal is the kettle, the kama. It is made of heavy cast iron. It is old. Its surface is textured like the skin of an orange. The water inside is boiling, but it is not a violent boil. It is a simmering boil. Listen to the sound. The tea masters call it matsukaze, the wind in the pines. It is a soft, rushing sound. Shh. It sounds like a breeze blowing through a pine forest on a distant mountain. It is the sound of nature brought indoors. The samurai sits down on the tatami mat. He sits in seiza, his legs folded beneath him. He is alone tonight. Usually the tea ceremony is a gathering, a host and a guest. But sometimes the samurai makes tea for himself, to settle his own spirit. He is the host and the guest. He arranges his utensils. He treats them as if they are made of glass, even though they are bamboo and wood. He takes the natsume, the tea caddy. It is a small lacquer box, black with gold dust sprinkled on the lid. Inside is the green powder, the matcha. He takes the chashaku, the tea scoop. It is a slender, curved piece of bamboo. It was carved by a monk years ago. It has a name, River Mist. He takes the chasen, the whisk. It is made from a single piece of bamboo, split into 80 fine tines, curled at the tips. It looks like a frozen flower. And finally, the chawan, the tea bowl. He holds it in his hands. It is raku-ware. It was fired in a low-temperature kiln. It is rough. It is black and red. It is uneven. It fits perfectly in his palms. It is heavy and thick. It retains the heat. He begins the process, the purification of the tools. He takes a silk cloth, the fukusa. It is purple. He folds it, corner to corner, edge to edge. The movements are precise, like a dance. Snap, fold, wipe. He wipes the tea caddy. He wipes the scoop. He pours hot water into the bowl to warm it. He swishes the water around. The sound of water in ceramic. Swish, swish. He pours the water out into a waste basin. He wipes the bowl dry with a white linen cloth. Now, the tea. He opens the caddy. The smell of the matcha hits the air. It is a grassy, vegetal smell. It smells of spring fields and chlorophyll. He takes the scoop. He measures 2 small mounds of green powder into the bottom of the black bowl. It looks like 2 small emerald hills in the darkness. He lifts the ladle from the kettle. The steam rises. He pours the hot water over the powder. Splosh! He picks up the whisk. He begins to whisk. This is not a stirring motion, it is a vibration. He moves his wrist back and forth, incredibly fast. The whisk hits the sides of the bowl. Chaka, 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 chaka. It is a crisp, rhythmic sound, like rain on leaves. He whisks until the liquid transforms. The dark water and the green powder merge. They create a thick, jade-green foam. The bubbles become smaller and smaller until the surface is smooth and creamy. He slows down. He lifts the whisk carefully from the center, leaving a small mound of foam. The tea is ready. He is the guest now. He picks up the bowl with his right hand. He places it on his left palm. He feels the warmth. The heat of the water travels through the thick clay into his skin, warming his blood. The room is cold, but his hands are warm. He bows to the tea. He turns the bowl clockwise. Twice. This is to show respect. The front of the bowl, the most beautiful side, is facing him. He turns it away so that he does not drink from the front. He humbles himself. He raises the bowl to his lips. He takes a sip. It is hot, thick, frothy. The taste is complex. It is bitter at first, a sharp shock to the tongue. But then it mellows. It becomes savory, umami, and finally, a lingering sweetness at the back of the throat. It is the taste of the earth. He drinks again, and a third time. To finish the bowl, he makes a slurping sound on the last sip. Soup. This is not rude, it is necessary. It tells the host and the universe that the tea was delicious, that he has enjoyed every drop. He lowers the bowl. He wipes the rim where his lips touched with his fingers. He wipes his fingers on a paper cloth. He turns the bowl back, counterclockwise. He sets it down. He sits there, looking at the empty bowl. Inside, there are streaks of green foam left on the black glaze. They look like landscapes, like green moss on a dark rock. He breathes out. The caffeine in the tea is slight, but the L-theanine, the calming amino acid, is strong. He feels a wave of relaxation wash over him. His shoulders drop. His eyes soften. He looks at the shadow of the flower on the wall. It flickers in the lamplight. This is wa keisei jaku, wa, harmony. The harmony between the guest, the host, and the season. The tea matches the weather. The flower matches the mood. Kei, respect. The respect for the objects. Treating the bowl as if it were a living thing. Treating the water as a gift. Sei, purity. Cleanliness of the room and the heart. Jaku, tranquility. The peace that comes when the other three are achieved. The samurai feels the jaku. The wars of the past are history. The duties of tomorrow are dreams. There is only the charcoal glowing in the pit, red embers turning to white ash. Time in the tea room flows differently. It is circular. The water boils. The tea is made. The tea is drunk. The bowl is cleaned. It returns to emptiness. He begins the cleanup. He pours cold water into the bowl. He rinses the whisk. He wipes the scoop. He places everything back exactly where it was. If someone entered the room now, they would not know he had been there. There is no trace. This is the ideal. To move through life without leaving a scar. To leave the world as clean as you found it. He stands up. His legs are stiff, but his mind is fluid. He kneels at the small door. He crawls backward out of the tea house. He steps back into the night air. The moon is higher now. It is directly overhead, a perfect white circle. The garden is silver and black. The silence is absolute. Even the crickets have stopped singing. He walks back along the stepping stones. Tobi Ishi. He does not need to look down as much now. His feet know the way. He floats over the moss. He reaches the veranda. He steps up. He leaves his sandals. He turns back to look at the tea hut one last time. It sits there in the shadows, a dark shape, a container for peace. It will wait for him. He slides the door of the castle open. The warmth of the interior greets him. The journey of the day is almost done. He has woken with the mist. He has organized the sand. He has forged the steel. He has polished the blade. He has shot the arrow. He has written the poem. He has drunk the tea. He has touched every element: earth, fire, water, wind, void. Now, the body needs to shut down. The spirit needs to detach. He walks down the corridor toward his sleeping quarters. The lanterns are burning low. Some have gone out. The shadows are long. He feels the weight of his eyelids. The tea has warmed him, but now the tiredness is taking over. It is a good tiredness, the feeling of a vessel that has been emptied and scrubbed clean. He is ready for the final layer, the layer of darkness. He moves toward the futon, toward the silk quilt that waits for him. But first, the final check, the closing of the gate. The night watchman is approaching. Clack, clack. The sound of the wooden hayoshigi sticks echoes through the courtyard. Fire, watch out for fire, the watchman calls softly. It is the sound of safety. Someone else is watching. The samurai can rest. The moon watches over the castle. The water in the moat is still. Sleep is coming, quietly, gracefully, like the steam rising from the tea. Rest. Chapter 9. The guard and the sleep. The tea ceremony is finished. The bowl has been wiped dry and returned to its wooden box. The charcoal in the hearth has been buried under a layer of white ash, banking the fire, putting the heat to sleep for the night. The samurai leaves the tea room. He slides the small crawling door shut behind him. He stands up on the veranda, stretching his spine in the moonlight. The castle of the White Heron is transforming. During the day, it was a hive of activity, a machine of administration and defense. But now, under the high moon, it has become a sculpture of silence. The white plaster walls glow with a spectral light, blue and pale. The curved roofs cast deep, impenetrable shadows. He walks back toward the inner chambers. His footsteps are soft on the wooden floor. Suriashi, the sliding step. Even when he is tired, he does not stomp. He glides. It is second nature now, a discipline that has become instinct. The corridors are dimmer than before. The servants have extinguished many of the oil lamps to save fuel. Only a few lanterns remain, creating islands of warm orange light in the river of darkness. He passes the room of the guards. He glances inside. 2 men are sitting there. They are awake. They are alert. They are playing a quiet game of Go, placing black and white stones on a wooden board. Click, click. They look up as he passes. They bow from their seated position. He nods. There is a profound comfort in seeing them. These are the Yoban, the night watch. They will not sleep tonight. They will patrol the corridors. They will walk the perimeter of the stone walls. They will watch the gates. Because they are awake, he can sleep. Because they are holding the tension, he can let go. He reaches his private quarters. He slides the door open. The room is exactly as he left it this morning, yet it feels different. The morning light was sharp and energizing. The night light is soft and heavy. The shadows are pooling in the corners. The shutters on the outside of the veranda have been closed. Amado. Heavy wooden storm shutters that seal the house. They block out the view of the garden. They block out the moon. They create a womb of darkness. The sound of the wind is muted now. The castle has turned inward. He walks to the center of the room. It is time to dismantle the armor of the day. This is the reversal of the morning ritual. It is the unwinding. He reaches for the swords first, the daisho, the soul of the samurai. He places his left hand on the scabbard of the katana. He pushes the tsuba, the guard, with his thumb to unlock it, just a habit. And then he pulls the whole scabbard from his sash. It slides out with a long, soft exhale of silk against lacquer. The weight leaves his hip. He holds the sword in both hands. He looks at it one last time. It is a heavy burden, the weight of authority, the weight of life and death. He walks to the sword rack in the alcove. He places the katana on the top tier. The black lacquer gleams in the dim light. He removes the wakizashi, the short sword. He places it on the lower tier. He steps back. He bows to the swords. Rest, he thinks. By putting them down, he is declaring a truce with the world. For the next 8 hours, he is not a warrior. He is just a man. He is defenseless, and he is content to be so. Now, the clothes. He unties the obi, the sash. He finds the knot at the small of his back. He pulls the end. The tension releases. The sash falls away. He unspools it from around his waist. 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. He takes a deep breath. His belly, his hara, expands. For 14 hours, he has been bound, held tight, supported by the silk. Now, his muscles can relax. The pressure is gone. He folds the obi. He rolls it into a tight cylinder. He unties the hakama, the wide trousers. He steps out of them. Even now, tired as he is, he does not throw them on the floor. He sits down. He aligns the pleats. The 7 virtues: rectitude, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, loyalty. He smooths them out. He folds the trousers into a neat, flat square. He is putting the virtues away for the night. They will be there in the morning. Tonight, he does not need to be honorable. He only needs to be asleep. He removes the indigo kimono. The heavy silk slides off his shoulders. The air of the room touches his skin. It is cool. He puts on his sleeping robe. A nemaki. It is made of soft, unbleached cotton. It is lined with gauze. It is loose. It smells of soap and sunshine. It does not constrain him. It allows his blood to flow. He unties his hair. He cuts the paper cord that holds the top knot. His hair falls down. It is long, black, and heavy. He combs it out with his fingers. He massages his scalp. The tension of the tight binding dissolves. He is returning to his natural state. The servant has already laid out the bedding. In the center of the tatami mats lies the futon. It is not a thin mattress. It is thick, filled with layers of cotton batting. It is covered in dark blue cotton fabric with a pattern of white clouds. At the head of the mattress is the pillow, the makura. It is filled with buckwheat hulls, sobagara. It is firm, but it shifts to cradle the head. When you lay your head on it, it makes a soft crunching sound. Krush. It allows the air to circulate. It keeps the head cool. Cool head, warm feet is the prescription for health. Over the mattress hangs the kaya, the mosquito net. It is a large box made of green hemp netting, suspended from the 4 corners of the room by cords. It creates a room within a room, a sanctuary inside a sanctuary. The samurai lifts the edge of the green net. He crawls inside. He feels a sense of enclosure. The net blurs the room outside. It softens the edges of the furniture. It creates a private atmosphere. He sits on the futon for a moment. He brings his attention to the candle stand near the pillow. A single candle is burning. The flame is tall and still. He watches the flame. It consumes the wax. It turns matter into light and heat. And then it turns into smoke. It is the impermanence of life. He cups his hand behind the flame. He blows gently. Puff. The light vanishes. The darkness rushes in to fill the space. But it is not a frightening darkness. It is a velvety, soft darkness. It is the darkness of the inside of an eyelid. The smell of the extinguished candle, a thin trail of smoke, drifts through the net. It is the scent of the end of the day. He lies down. He pulls the heavy quilt up to his chin. The quilt is weighted. It presses him down into the mattress. It holds him. He adjusts his head on the buckwheat pillow. Crunch. Shift. He finds the perfect hollow. He closes his eyes. He listens. The castle is silent. The wind has died down completely. The rain has stopped. But he waits. He is listening for one specific sound. In the distance, outside the walls, in the castle town, the night watchman is walking his rounds. He hears it, very faint. Clack, clack. The striking of the hyoshigi. 2 wooden sticks of oak clap together. A pause. Clack, clack. It gets closer. Then it fades away. It is a signal. All is well. The samurai lets go of his hearing. He withdraws his senses. He visualizes his body. He starts at his feet. The feet that walked the stone path. The feet that stood firm in the dojo. He tells them to soften. He imagines them turning into sand. He moves to his legs, the legs that held the horse, the legs that sat in Caesar for hours. He releases the tension in his thighs. They sink into the cotton. He moves to his hands, the hands that gripped the rake, the hands that held the hammer, the hands that drew the bow, the hands that whisked the tea. They are open now, empty. They hold nothing. He moves to his belly, his hara, the center of his power. The knot of the obi is gone. The breath can move freely. He breathes deep into his abdomen, in and out. The breath is a tide. It rises and falls. He moves to his eyes, the eyes that judge the steel, the eyes that aimed the arrow, the eyes that wrote the poem. He unfocuses them behind his closed lids. He looks into the black void. He sees the after-image of the day. He sees the white mist of the morning. He sees the sparks of the forge. He sees the green of the tea. He sees the silver of the moon. They swirl together. They lose their names. They become just colors. Then the colors fade. They become gray, then dark. He thinks of the castle walls outside. Massive, stone, immovable. He is inside the stone. He is the jewel inside the rock. He thinks of the moat, the dark water surrounding him, a ring of protection. He thinks of the guards at the gate. He thinks of the pine trees standing sentinel in the garden. Everything is in its place. The universe is ordered. The samurai believes that sleep is a little death. Every night, you die to the day. You let go of the self. You surrender control. And every morning, you are reborn. This is not a sad thought. It is a liberating thought. If you cling to the day, you cannot sleep. If you replay the conversations, if you plan the battles, you are trying to stay alive in the past or the future. To sleep, you must accept the end. The day is dead. Let it go. He imagines the ink character he wrote earlier. Mu. Nothingness. He places that character in the center of his mind, a black shape on a white background. He watches the ink dissolve. The black lines break apart. They turn into smoke. They drift away into the white space. Now the page is blank. The mind is blank. The samurai is no longer a samurai. He is no longer a servant of the Lord. He is no longer a warrior. He is just a breath. In, out. The buckwheat pillow crunches softly one last time as he settles deeper. The heavy quilt is a warm hand pressing him down. Gravity takes him. He begins to drift. He drifts out of the room, through the green mosquito net, through the wooden shutters. He drifts over the garden. The white gravel of the Zen garden is glowing in the starlight. The waves of sand are still. He drifts over the wall, over the moat. He is floating in the mist again, weightless, formless, timeless. The warrior rests. The sword sleeps in the scabbard. The bow sleeps on the rack. The brush sleeps on the desk. And you sleep in the bed. You have walked the path. You have done the work. There is nothing left to do. The night is yours. Rest. Rest. Sleep.